And that doesn't usually pan out, you know. And it is the mind that creates anticipation and complaints, right? It creates the tension and the stress. So when we engage in mindfulness practice, we are training ourselves to let go rather than feed that sense of imbalance. To see that everything is functioning according to its own natural law. This is what's happening now. There's nothing going wrong in the moment. Doesn't mean that we like what's going on in the moment, but it is the way it is. And our future is intrinsically uncertain. We don't know what's going to arise. We do a very good job of planning, but we don't know whether that's our, Lama used to call it our dream impermanent plan. Yeah. So we make our plans and then we put things in place that will bring them to fruition. But we don't know. Something may arise that's uncomfortable or painful, or things may be quite pleasant and filled with wonderful insights. But whatever the mind projects, pleasant or unpleasant, it's really not what's important. That's an interesting statement, isn't it? What the mind projects is not what's important. So the main effort that we can make as practitioners, the one that will be most beneficial, is to simply train the mind to pay attention to the present moment, to the reality of now. And see that here, in this moment, now, is where we can make a difference in our life. We can't change the past, and we can't change the future. But we can have an effect on the present. And really recognizing what is the natural law. I have a friend whose daughter experiences tremendous anxiety. Tremendous anxiety. So my friend had her daughter go with her to her therapist. And I thought this was so amazing what she said. She said, anxiety is a bully that wants certainty. And it doesn't let go until it has it. And because there is no certainty, Buddha said that's the second quality of suffering in our world. You know, first dissatisfaction and then uncertainty. It's a cause of suffering. And because it exists all the time, then there's this underlayment of unease because we want certainty. We haven't realized that we will never have it. And until we let go of that attitude of wishing for certainty, there will always be an anxiety of whether, always pushing and pulling because of that. Over and over again, the Buddha encouraged us to develop mindfulness, to attention to the present moment. So he encouraged us to look inside, in this present moment, and see what is beneficial, leading to clarity, and what's leading to more confusion, difficulty, or stress, rather than grasping and being led down the path to suffering. So we set our intention to learn from what's happening, whatever it is, cultivating an attitude of inquiry. What is this teaching me? What can I learn from this? Things can be smooth and comfortable, or they can be very bumpy. The mind can be happy or agonizing over painful memories, or annoyed, anxious. But whatever it is, the wise response is, what is this teaching me? Why does this keep returning? What is this teaching me? This therapist that I spoke about told this young woman that the bully, the way to have the bully stop coming is to stop paying attention to him, to stop feeding him. Stop feeding that bully. Say, oh yeah, okay, I see you, but I'm not going to pay attention to you. And you know, if a friend came over and over and over again to visit you and you didn't pay any attention to them, they probably would stop coming. And this is the way it is with our habitual negative states that we continually feed. If we continually feed them, they will continue to return because it becomes the habit of the mind. You know? So this suffering that arises as a response to our difficulties in life, you know, which we call dukkha. Dukkha, that's the Pali word for suffering. So if you break it down, do means not right or out of balance. So if you put, and ka is the circle in the wheel where the axle goes through. So if you have an out of balanced wheel, you know, you're always going off. You know, you have a shopping cart at the grocery store and one of the wheels is off, you know, and you're always veering off to the left. It's like that. You know, this is suffering, dukkha. Things are out of balance. So we have to recognize that dukkha, things are out of balance. It's hard to bear. Dukkha means hard to bear or unsatisfactory. And even very pleasant things are considered dukkha if they move us away from a state of peace. If you think about it, the reason why pleasant things are considered dukkha is because they don't last. They don't last. So you have a really beautiful experience and you try to have it again. You know, you have a wonderful meditation and then you sit and you think, now let's see, how did I get there? You know, what time was I sitting? What cushion was I using? How long before I dropped into that state? How can I get that again? So instead of just sitting again, you're trying to make that happen again. Or you go on vacation. You're on vacation and it's beautiful. It's lovely. But rather than enjoy the moment, you're trying to figure out how you might extend it. Could I ask for more time off? And do I have enough money in the bank to pay for more money in this place, which is so lovely? So instead of enjoying, you're busy worrying about extending it. And it won't last. We're trying to make pleasant things last, and they don't. And the same thing is true for suffering things, painful things, painful things. Have you ever noticed that when you have a pain, that it's not so much the pain itself in the moment, but it's where the mind goes about that pain. Like, I have a headache. Oh, do I have a brain tumor? Whatever pain we have, we can associate. A lot of people do this, you know, they go to the internet and say, well, if you have a pain in your side for 3 days, what does that indicate? And then, you know, Dr. MD will come up with some ideas. So the mind grasps onto and has more suffering as a result of clinging to either pleasure or suffering pain, pleasure or pain. So there is a story that Leo Tolstoy must have had a big estate, a big farm, and he would be cutting corn with the rest of the people, cutting corn. And he was cutting corn, and one day he had this amazing experience of bliss. And he spent the next 20 years cutting corn, trying to figure out how to get that bliss again. So we do this rather than enjoying this very moment. But if we have an opportunity, when we have the intention to learn from our experiences and we apply mindfulness, we may just wake up to the truth that our happiness and our suffering or dissatisfaction are in the mind rather than the event. It's mind that creates these conditions, creates our reaction to what is appearing. So we train our mind to notice the imbalance when our mind is moving toward complaining. You know, when the critical committee, the critical board has arrived and is going with the judgments. We see them come on in, you know, but we just tell them, you know, we're not participating in this meeting now, so that we don't get involved in that. And the more we do that, the more we catch ourselves at the onset, before we've already created a bit of a story or a full story or a volume. So the more we find ourselves caught and the more we catch it and stop, then the fewer times the committee shows up. You watch, you know, it really does happen. You know? And so also, you know, we have this, you know, when we set our intention to work with the mind, it's so important to also set the intention to maintain an attitude of loving kindness. So not being annoyed with ourselves that critical committee showed up again, but to have loving kindness for ourselves for that as well. Really, that's so important. This attitude of loving kindness. It doesn't mean that we are trying to like the unlikable. You know, loving kindness is a radical acceptance of what is here now. It's a total acceptance of what's here. Say, oh, it's bitter. Yes, yeah, this is bitter. This is what is here now. It's not wrong, but I don't have to like it either. Right? This is the quality of metta or maitri, which we translate as loving kindness. It's a radical acceptance or a wholehearted acknowledgement and recognition, recognizing this is pain. This is a regret or a grief or any of the great variety of psychological or physical experiences that we can have. So we don't say this is pleasant. Oh, this is delicious, but it's here. This is not delicious, but it's here. So we can be patient with it, recognizing that it's part of the natural order. Uncertainty, part of the natural order, right? So we're able to bring our alignment. We bring our attitude into alignment, into harmony with what is, with truth. So this is necessary for truly developing concentration and insight. Otherwise, we find ourselves fighting against our thoughts and against our memories and against our planning. You know, thoughts become our enemy, and they're not. You know, they're not something to be rejected or resented. This is what's arising now. Okay, this is what's here now. So rather than fighting against the chattering, thinking mind, you know, against memories or expectations, we develop this attitude of loving kindness and acceptance toward them, recognizing that there is suffering when we follow, when we grasp. Many times I've mentioned in meditation to attend to the sensation in the body and mind when we sit. To be able to recognize when the mind has become off balance, when it's chasing, it's out there chasing that thought. It has taken a seat around the table of this board meeting. So it can acknowledge that it's there, but it doesn't have to participate. And when it doesn't participate, it recognizes that it's just the room and it's just the board members and that's all. And it's just what's here now. But we don't have to chase after any of it. And that's a complete freedom. It's a complete freedom. We don't have to be trapped in difficult, unpleasant circumstances. They're here, we accept, but we don't have that. I think Dr. Rick Hansen calls it the second dart. You know, yes, it's painful to have a dart, but to take it out and keep stabbing yourself with it, you know, is totally unnecessary. You know? So we avoid that kind of attitude of the second dart. Okay, so that's unbelievably important when it comes to recognizing how it is that we are creating. We are creating our world. And when we realize that, oh, what kind of a world do I want to create? Do I want to continue to follow the habits that I have collected over my lifetime that have been unhelpful, that have brought me pain and others pain? Or do I want to do something different? The choice in the moment. So let's settle into some meditation. Finding our meditation seat and our meditation posture. Allowing our awareness to come to the crown of our head, which brings with it a lengthening and straightening of the spine. And then settling into a state of very deep relaxation. While the spine remains straight, the rest of the body hangs around it. Giving yourself permission to completely let go of any tension. Do a scan from your crown. As you settle all the way down to the ground, allow your belly to be soft. Allow it to receive the full breath. Experiencing the sensations in the body as the body breathes in a state of relaxation and peace, letting go of fear or expectation. Feeling your ground under you. giving a sense of stability and safety. And within this state of relaxation, bring your awareness to the tip of the nose or to the belly, one single point where the breath manifests most distinctly for you and is most comfortable. And if it's uncomfortable to attend to the breath, simply attend to the sensations in the body as they change moment by moment. Noticing what's passing through the mind while a corner of the mind remains steadfast on the breath flowing out and back in again. With a sense of wonderment as you watch the breath turn. disengaging and coming back to center when we have left, when we have lost the breath. Rejoicing that we've noticed and coming right back. How wonderful. So now, with gratitude for having met this path, and a great wish to bring it to fruition, we turn to our refuge, surrounding ourselves with all sentient beings. Allowing the merit field to appear before us. And in the center, Shakyamuni Buddha, our guru, in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha. And we take the 3 levels of refuge. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the mind of enlightenment, to seeing emptiness directly, and to the Arya beings who have. May I become a Buddha to go for refuge until enlightenment, with confidence in the knowledge that the nature of my own mind is wisdom, its expression is clarity, and its compassion is all-pervasive. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. Just imagine then that a rain from the sky, pleased, just a blessing, just a blessing. And we make a second request here. May all beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. I will help us to have these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do this. magnificent and precious root guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat above my head. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. And so now we see Shakyamuni Buddha, our guru, coming to the crown of our head. And as we make this request to receive blessings, we allow a shower of blessings to come from Guru Shakyamuni Buddha's heart. A gentle rain coming down, entering through our crown and filling our body with all of these realizations on Lama Tsongkhapa's path to enlightenment. May I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence, be protected by refuge, guided by a knowledge of actions and their results, aim for liberation through renunciation. May I be motivated by bodhicitta, opened by giving, disciplined by ethical behavior, strengthened by patience, enthused by joyous effort, stabilized by concentration, and freed by wisdom. So allow this beautiful, loving, kind wisdom to flow down through our body, from our crown all the way to the soles of our feet. Be filled up. Really feel like you have received the blessings of this path in your heart. And make this request. Oh, magnificent and precious root guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I attain enlightenment. And then Guru Shakyamuni Buddha melts into light, descends down through my crown, slowly descending through the center of my body and coming to rest at the level of my heart, taking the aspect of a warm sphere of light, which my mind penetrates. And whose nature is love. And as we inhale, experience that light becoming brighter, a soft glowing warmth, expanding on the exhale. Energized and expanding. From my heart to my crown, to the soles of my feet, and to the tips of my fingers, my body filled with this warm, loving light. And feel a sense of being loved and how wonderful that is. And as it continues to expand and become uncontainable and passes through our pores, we know that it is our nature to love. In all directions, this loving energy is expanding. Sending out love into the universe. Taking away the pain. Going to specific people and groups who enter your mind's eye. Recognizing that just like me, each and every one wishes to have happiness and freedom from suffering. And just like me, they have the potential to abide in immutable happiness. I want to remove their suffering and give them every happiness. Think of the homeless, perhaps some encounter you had with one person. And just giving them your friendship. Notice the difference in their countenance. Just giving love. We think of those in poverty, unable to feed their children. Those who are fleeing from countries where they fear for their life. Leaving everything behind. And our heart goes out with love. And our compassion wishes to take away all of the causes. There are so many places to go. And sometimes we might despair. There's so much suffering. How can I make a difference? And there is the story of the old man on the shore and the young man seeing him in a distance, bending over and throwing something into the water. And as he gets close, he sees that the old man is picking up a starfish and throwing it back into the water. Many, many had been washed ashore during a storm. And the old man bends over and picks up another and throws him into the water. And the young man says to the old man, how can you make a difference? Look, there are too many. The sun is coming. And the old man bends over and picks up another and throws it into the water and said, I made a difference to that one. And this we can do. We can make a difference to the one in front, offering loving kindness and compassion, doing what we can to bring comfort and ease to those we meet. And when we think about all these beings and we use the thought training by analysis, recognizing that life before life, before life, before life, each life I have had a mother, each time kind to me. In all my lives, sentient beings have been kind, providing food and clothing and shelter and care. Each one of these beings I meet might have been the one who was most kind to me. And I long to repay their kindness. What can I do in this life to repay the kindness of sentient beings? And each time I think like that, I begin to whittle away at the self-cherishing thought. And each time I do so, I become closer to the truth of how reality exists. So when you're ready, begin to move your fingers and your toes and come back to this moment. And I'd like you to go into rooms and have a discussion. A discussion about how it is logically that cherishing others moves us closer to enlightenment? That's the question. How does cherishing others move us closer to enlightenment? So if Angela will do her magic. Are we here now? Good, good. Okay, welcome back. Now, each room has to come in to the big room. Somebody, some representative from each room has to come in and give me a report. What is it? What's the answer to that question? How does self-cherishing move us away from enlightenment? What did I say? How does cherishing others move us toward enlightenment? Okay, yeah. So how does it work? What do you think? Okay.
Well, when you're focused on cherishing others,
Yes.
it's very difficult to focus on yourself. And so just whatever the other is that's taking your attention is taking it away from the self. It's easy to have that experience when you're in the presence of need. And there's somebody that you obviously can be aware of need, then the response would be to meet that need.
Okay, good. Somebody else in another room? Jade.
We all mentioned in some way that cherishing others is connecting ourselves with them in a way that dissolves otherness and separateness. And in that way, seems like it brings us towards enlightenment. And I say the word gently because I don't know that I actually know what enlightenment is or will be if I get there or have been there. But that non-dualism came up. That's part of the philosophy. Helping others came up in our group as well from another member. And loving others helps us learn to love that part of ourself as well when we are dissociated from that capability. So all of it brought under the guise of connection and kind of dissolving difference between ourselves. Those were our thoughts.
Great, great. Okay, what other room? Who was in another room?
I think it's Patty.
Oh, Patty.
Oh my goodness. I just got thrown under the bus. Now that wasn't very enlightenment, was it?
I want to hear your precious words.
Well, there were a couple of things that came up, and Victoria and Gordon was mentioning how basically their relationship works better when they cherish each other, as opposed to focusing on themselves. And Kyra was asking this whole thing about, well, if I can make myself happy and you make yourself happy, then everybody's happy. And Kyra, please correct me if I'm speaking improperly. So, and it's a question that I personally have never sat down and thought about. And, through our discussion and thinking and listening and all of that, and I think I just basically come up with, it just feels good. When I cherish others, it feels good.
That's very good. That's very good. That's very, very good. Yeah. Yeah, all these are brilliant, just brilliant. And I just would pointing out what Jade mentioned, what is this enlightenment? Enlightenment is immutable happiness. So it is freedom from this grasping mind we have that brings unhappiness. It's a mind that's filled with love and compassion and completely free of all these ignorant hatred and ignorance and doubt and pride and grasping desire, is free of that. So it is ignorance itself. We say the fundamental ignorance is the root of all suffering. So then you have to know, what is ignorance? So ignorance in the Tibetan Buddhist, or in the whole Buddhist tradition, is grasping on to the inherent existence. In other words, the self-existence, existing from its own side of oneself and phenomena. So if we think that we exist by ourselves, there is Elaine here who is solid and inherently existing, then I tend to cherish her. I will cherish her. And this is ignorance. So as I begin to cherish others more than self, I begin to whittle away a little bit at that idea of cherishing myself as being the way forward to happiness. I begin to see a difference there. So as we begin to cherish others, more and more and more, we're getting closer to the truth. So this is really, it is a path to happiness. All happiness comes from cherishing others, because when we cherish ourselves, we become this constricted, sort of small, little me. It's mine, Gollum. The meditation of the eddy, everything here is mine and it's in my circle. And whether it's fun or whether it's very painful, it's still mine and I hold it. But when we can let go of all of that and we can begin to open our hearts to others, there's amazing sweetness that comes from that. And our life becomes happier and happier. The more we cherish others and let go of ourselves, the more we're beginning to get to the truth. Because when we're cherishing, let's say, there's the big chocolate cake there and you're in line and you're really looking forward to that chocolate cake, but all the people in front of you are taking pieces of chocolate cake and you're getting to the place where you think you're not going to get any chocolate cake. And there's one more piece left. And you see the person behind you who says, "Aw." So you can take that piece of cake because it's really yours, but you won't enjoy that piece of cake nearly as much as if you gave it to the person behind you. So if we just look at our life, if we are mindful, if we are aware of our actions, the actions that tend to be benefiting others versus the actions that are solely for my own benefit, which one brings greater bliss? So we check. And since the purpose of spiritual practice is to gain knowledge that will reliably produce happiness and eliminate suffering, it's a no-brainer. It is our spiritual practice to walk a path of happiness. So let's do that and let's dedicate. By merit of this virtue, may I become Buddha and lead all beings, everyone, into that enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow, and may that born not decline, but increase more and more. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. Please also make prayers for those people on your prayer list who are ill, those who have passed away. May all of our teachers live long and happy lives.